Hi, I'm Scott Humphrey, CEO of the World Floor Covering Association, and this is Leadership Live. And this week on Leadership by the Letter, we're on the letter O, and the word is ownership. Ownership simply means the act, state, or right of possessing something. The act, state, or right of possessing something. Let's be very frank. Owning something changes everything, right? When it's yours, you treat it different. Ever rented a car? You know that you'll drive a rental car a little bit differently than you'll drive your own. When you rent a property, it's different than owning that property because the outcome of that property matters so much more to you. And as a leader, when you own responsibility for those who look to you, then you treat them differently. You cast a vision differently. You challenge them, spur them on to their purpose like never before. John Maxwell had a pretty good quote I enjoyed where he talked about the importance of owning every decision you make. And here's what Maxwell said: a leader must be big enough to own their mistakes, smart enough to profit from them, and strong enough to correct them. See, the reality is weak leaders tend to deny that it was their mistake, or they deflect. They act like it was something else that happened, but it was really not a mistake, because that to them would weaken their position. But in reality, research tells us that your employees look to you to own the mistakes that you make. In fact, research said that 81% of employees view that as very important, but only 41% of employees felt like their leaders did it. A leader's ability, it went on to say, to own their wrongs is the number one thing that impacts employee happiness and retention. Think about that. A leader's ability to own their wrongs is the number one thing that impacts employee happiness and retention. So what are some things that you can own? Let me give you 4. You should own your vision. The direction that your organization is going is yours. Own it. Step up. Own it. Let people know that it's yours and you're responsible for it. Number 2, own your actions. When you do something, don't act like it was someone else who did it. Take responsibility, and when possible, deflect the credit to those who helped you with it. But still, the end result belongs to you. Number 3, own your failures. As we already said, very important. People respect you more when they understand the humanity of who you are, that you make mistakes, you're willing to own those mistakes, you're willing to learn from those mistakes, and to move forward. That gives them the freedom to do the same. And 4th and finally, own your role as a leader. It is a privilege to lead. Lead with responsibility. Own responsibility for those who look to you in your family, in your community, and yes, in your work. I close with this. David Frum was a speechwriter for George W. Bush. He talked about the events of September 11th, 2001, when the Twin Towers were bombed and America was under attack. He said something dramatic changed in him. For the first time, he said the F-16s flying overhead weren't F-16s, they were his F-16s. And the empty streets in Washington were his empty streets. And the Twin Towers were his Twin Towers. And the smoldering Pentagon was his Pentagon. And when he got home and he hugged his family, he said they were his family like never before. There's nothing to make us own responsibility quite like being attacked from the outside. I want you to know success is constantly under attack. And doing things the right way is as well. I challenge you not only to do the right thing, but to lead and to own that leadership so that those who look to you can respect you and change their purpose as well. Now go out there and lead.